Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emory Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Bring you our 2012 conference preview. We're going to look at the Big Ten, top to bottom, all 12 teams. So let's start with the recruiting trail to see how well these teams recruited this past offseason. I think the Buckeyes had the best recruiting class in the Big Ten. Urban Meyer made a tremendous haul with this first class. A lot of guys probably going to see a lot of action right away, but the one guy that stands out, in my opinion, is Briante Dunn, the big tailback. Ohio State is great when they have a dominant running back, and this guy has that old school type of approach. They're going to love him up there in Columbus. This guy is going to be a tremendous player. As a freshman, may see some carries early. The Wildcats got themselves a fine linebacker prospect, Afidi Odinjabo, 6'3", 217, tremendous speed coming off the edge and gives them some versatility. Jordan Wallace is a thumper in the middle, effective on blitzes, and he's going to help bolster that Hoosiers defense right away as an incoming prospect. Running back Dami Ayola may just be the next best prospect to come out of the Illini backfield. This guy has natural running skills, and I'm very impressed with what I see on film from this young prospect. Nebraska got themselves a true beast of a linebacker in Michael Rose. This guy, see ball, hit ball, exemplifies that to a T and will fit nicely in that Cornhuskers defense. When I look at Michigan State, I look at the safety, Demetrius Cox, hard-hitting guy, old school approach, no nonsense, reminds me a lot of Darren Woodson that played for the Cowboys. Purdue wants to get back to rushing the passer, and that's why you bring in a guy like Ryan Watson, defensive end, 6'3", 275, does a great job on the interior and also on the edge getting pressure. Penn State got themselves a talented linebacker, Naeem Wortman, 6'3", 240, local guy down there in Pennsylvania that does a great job of moving sideline to sideline. Iowa may start a true freshman at running back, Greg Garman, 6'1", 200 pounds, slender build, but if you look at him and you look at his skill set, he can remind you of a guy like Ricky Waters when he played at Notre Dame, can play receiver or running back, but he has that slithery type of style. Michigan got themselves an outstanding defensive tackle prospect in Andre Pipkin, 6'3", 320. He's going to help bolster that run defense that is a question mark coming into the season, but this guy is tremendous, may see some time as a true freshman. The Badgers will be able to get a lot of production out of Vince Beagle, the linebacker, before his career is done out there in Madison, Wisconsin. This guy is a three-down linebacker, has excellent coverage skills as well. When I look at the Golden Gophers getting offensive line help, Jonah Persick, 6'9", 295. You see right there just manhandling defenders. I have to give the Wolverines the best quarterback combination in the Big Ten. You have Denard Robinson right there, shoelace. This guy's a tremendous playmaker on the ground. I think he will continue to improve as a passer. But backup David Gardner is another very talented guy who could start for many teams in the Big Ten. So I think the Wolverines have the best quarterback duo in the league. The Badgers have the best running back combination in the conference. Monty Ball is an All-American and probably will win the Heisman this year. But also James White is a very good back in his own right, so don't sleep on the fact that they have depth in the backfield, and they should put up some huge numbers again this season. Irvin Fryer was the last Cornhuskers receiver I was very excited about, but these two guys, Kenny Bell and Quincy Inua, are some outstanding targets, and they're young. Bell is a sophomore, Inua is a junior, and both guys clearly combined are the best receivers in the Big Ten. When don't the Badgers have a very good offensive line? Even though you lose 3 starters, you bring back 2 outstanding prospects in left tackle Ricky Wagner and center Travis Frederick. Both guys should help carry on the lineage of great Badger offensive linemen. I give the Spartans the nod for having the best defensive line. Not only can they stop the run, but these guys can also get to the quarterback. William Golson is the best player on this defensive front, but also defensive end Marcus Russell, sophomore, is very good in his own right. Combined, these guys are outstanding up front. When your defensive line play is stellar, you will always find some outstanding linebackers, and that's what the Spartans have with Chris Norman, Max Bullaw, and also Denikos Allen, who's the star of this unit. These guys have some outstanding linebackers. All 3 guys can start anywhere in the Big Ten. As you can see, I think highly of the Michigan State defense. These guys also have the best defensive backs. You look at Johnny Adams, who's going to be a first-round pick in this year's draft. You also look at safety Isaiah Lewis, very good hard-hitting guy who also has tremendous ball skills. Nebraska's coverage units are always excellent, but you look at kicker/punter Brett Mayer, first team All Big Ten last year. He returns, so you have to give the nod to the Cornhuskers for having the best special teams. I believe Braxton Miller will be the offensive MVP in the Big Ten, partly because of his skill set and his maturity as a sophomore quarterback, but also teaming up with Urban Meyer means he's going to put up huge numbers in that offense. Look for him to have an outstanding campaign and probably make first team All Big Ten. Defensive MVP, I'm going with the Boilermakers. Defensive tackle Kawan Short does a great job owning the line of scrimmage, always is active in the pass game as well as far as collapsing the pocket and batting down passes. Tremendous talent, should have another stellar campaign this season. I think Ohio State's defensive end Noah Spence will get the nod for the freshman Big Ten Player of the Year. This guy has tremendous talent coming off the edge, and we'll see a lot of time early in that defense. So look for him to put up some huge numbers for a true freshman. Too many talented playmakers for me to pick one pro prospect, so I'm going with 4. Monty Ball reminds me a lot of Curtis Martin and his workmanlike effort week in, week out. William Golson is a guy that has tremendous pass rushing ability, and also Kawan Short on the interior can provide push and also is very active in stopping and run. And Golson's teammate, cornerback Johnny Adams, a guy that has lockdown capability. So all 4 guys make excellent pro prospects. Let's start with the Leaders Division in the Penn State Nittany Lions. There's nowhere to go but up for Penn State, but they have the right coach in place in Bill O'Brien. I'm a big fan of linebacker Michael Maude and what he brings to the table with his leadership along with his talent. That's going to be huge this year for this team. The questions I have on offense are at quarterback, running back. They've lost Silas Red, but keep an eye on true freshman Akil Lynch. The offensive line is also a question mark. I think they'll finish last in the Leaders Division, but even with all the losses, I believe they will still be in every ball game this season. Next up are the Indiana Hoosiers. Quarterback Trey Robertson should improve as a sophomore. The running game is there with tailback Steven Houston. Does a great job of moving the pile, and also incoming class of recruits should be able to provide immediate dividends. Will they be able to stop the run this year? That's the biggest question. Will they be able to stop people, period? They were dead last in defense. The wide receiving core outside of Kofi Hughes lacks playmakers, and the incoming JUCO guys will have to get up to speed quickly. But I think they will benefit from starting a lot of freshmen last year. Year 2, there'll be a lot more experience. The Hoosiers will be vastly improved over last season, but not enough to make noise in the Big Ten this year. I have the Fighting Illini finishing 4th in the Leaders Division. Quarterback Nathan Schillhouse is one of the better quarterbacks in the Big Ten. I like his leadership and his intellect as he's learning a new offense this year again. Defensively, I think they'll do just fine, especially the front 7. Big fan of defensive tackle Akeem Spence. Tough road schedule in conference, plus the wide receiving core lacks the pop it did last season, and there's still some legit questions up front. But I think they'll go bowling this year, but barely. However, I think running back Donovan Young will be the surprise in the backfield and be the next big runner out there in Champaign. I tell you right now, the Purdue Boilermakers have a sneaky, talented roster. There's stability at the quarterback position with Caleb Turbush, and the backfield by committee approach actually works for them because of the tailback's individual explosiveness. Wide receiver Antavian Edison is poised for a breakout season. Now, despite stars on defense like Kawan Short at D-tackle and Ricardo Allen at the cornerback position, the Boilermakers are learning a new defense, plus they still struggle getting to the quarterback. I have some questions on the offensive line as they have to replace some key starters, but Purdue is my sleeper pick in the Leaders Division. I think not only will they match and or exceed last year's 7-win total, but if this defense gels quickly, they could realistically win this division. A veteran defense and talent in the front 4 gets Buckeye fans super excited for the season. Quarterback Braxton Miller paired with head coach Urban Meyer is an excellent combination. Expect the two to work wonders with that offense, especially in the running game. The running game will probably be the focal point. No real playmakers at the receiver position, and there's big losses up front at the center and left tackle position. It makes the offense sort of one-dimensional, and that could add to the fact that they're learning a new scheme. Despite being ineligible for league title, the Buckeyes will be dominant defensively and will get better under Urban Meyer. The Badgers got another break at quarterback with Danny O'Brien transferring from Maryland. He's an outstanding player, but the offense starts and stops with All-American tailback Monte Ball. This guy is an outstanding player. He's back behind a very good offensive line despite losing 3 starters, and the return of linebacker Chris Borland is huge for the defense. The defensive pass rush is where I have the question. Will they be able to get to the quarterback consistently? It also puts a strain on an already thin secondary. The health of defensive end David Gilbert will be vital for their success. But offensively, I think they'll be able to control the pace and the time of possession. Although questions are on defense, they'll find a way to get it done and end up in the Big Ten title game. Let's move over to the Legends Division. I had the Gophers finishing 6th. Marquise Gray, second year at quarterback, should yield better results. They had a young offensive line last year, so that means an experienced offensive line this season, and that should help out the running game. Cornerback play will be a strong suit on defense. Corner Michael Carter should have an all Big Ten season. The passing game is still a concern for me because of the lack of weapons they have outside. Up front defensively, can they hold their own at the point of attack? That's the biggest question. But I think they'll be very competitive this year, and in order to get to a bowl game, they'll have to win at least one tough road game late in either Champaign or Lincoln. There's some talent offensively for the Hawkeyes to work with. Quarterback James Vandenberg will have a new #1 target in Keenan Davis, who put up some big numbers last year and should put up even bigger numbers this season. Pretty nice schedule as well, so they could get on the road early on in the season. The back seven on defense is very solid, in particular the linebacking core. But both sides of the line of scrimmage are legit question marks entering the 2012 campaign. I think the first part of the schedule sets up nice for the Hawkeyes to possibly make it to 5 straight bowl game appearances. I had the Wildcats finishing 4th in the Legends Division. Playmaking wide receivers, exciting new quarterback as a full-time starter, and a manageable opening schedule has the Wildcats anxious to start the season. Junior quarterback Kane Coulter is an explosive runner that's improving as a passer. Athletic offensive line bodes well for a team that loves to spread the field. The defense has to stop the bleeding. There's a lot of depth issues on this roster. They're talented, but not a lot of experience. Look for the Wildcats to pull off a stunner or two this season to get to 8 wins. The Cornhuskers are a very solid team top to bottom. We talk a lot about quarterback Taylor Martinez's passing, but what doesn't get talked about is the pressure that he puts on the defense. Burkhead does a great job of being a versatile runner out of the backfield. They have the best receiving core in the Big Ten, and defensively their mentality won't change no matter who they lose out there on the field. Avoiding offensive inconsistency and replacing big leaders on defense in David and Crick will prove to be a problem for the Cornhuskers, but I think they have the coaching staff and the talent to finish first in the division, but the defensive line questions, along with inexperience at both outside linebacker spots, have these guys settling in 3rd place. I have the Spartans finishing 2nd in the Big Ten Legends Division. They have an outstanding tailback in Le'Veon Bell, one of the best running backs in the Big Ten. They have the best defense in the conference with 2 potential first-round draft selections in Golson and Adams. And I also look at the veteran offensive line returning 4 starters. The concern I have is that they're breaking in a new quarterback and a bunch of new wide receivers, and they have a very tough schedule. But overall, the defense will be good enough to carry this team. Passing the football will start to hit its stride as the season progresses, and I think that will bode well for the Spartans as they look to get back to the Big Ten championship game. That offense for the Wolverines will put up a lot of points with shoelace Denard Robinson and tailback Fitzgerald Toussaint, who had an outstanding campaign last year. They have a bunch of talented wide receivers despite losing Junior Hemingway, and the defense's encore performance with 7 starters return could be huge for this team. But I have some big questions on the offensive line, and they will get a big test early versus Alabama, so that run defense better be up to par. But I think they have enough firepower on offense to win the Legends Division, and they may have to circle that Michigan State game as opposed to the Ohio State game as what could determine whether or not they make it to the Big Ten championship game this season.